Hi, this is Kristin Peterson. I am the artist behind Altered State Studio. I'm actually going to be working today with the Frisket Film. I'm going to go ahead and open this. We'll just take a look at a sheet here. Now, mine is the matte finish. I believe that it also comes in maybe clear finish, but it's a film. So you will have a film side, and then it should have kind of a wax paper side. The other thing, so besides using it how it's supposed to be used, you would typically cut this apart, cut out whatever your shape is, and then you would go ahead, maybe I would want to save some of this hot pink. I would go ahead and peel. Look how easily that peels off. And I could place this over where the pink is. And now I could go ahead and paint back over where my Frisket film is, and it would essentially save whatever is underneath. Then when I was done, I'm just going to go ahead and peel that back off. And again, you can see like it can be put down. Oops. It can be placed. And I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I like that there either. I can go ahead, peel that up. You can see that my painting still looks just fine. Maybe I'm going to actually put it over here. So you can move it, can place it. It still, again, seems to be sticky enough even after I have moved and placed a couple times. So you can see that this is really nice. The other thing, besides using it as intended, the other thing that I thought would be kind of fun was to go ahead and use the Frisket film and actually make a stencil out of it. Let me show you, walk you through making a stencil today and using the Frisket film as a way to make a stencil. And because of how I'm going to be using it on the jelly plate, I did leave the paper backing on the back side so that I would be able to peel this up and basically reuse this. And again, I suppose that there is other things that certainly you could make a stencil out of. One of the nice things though about using this was that again, it is a plastic film and a wax paper, so it can be peeled up, reused. Like, it was really nice to be able to cut through. It cut nicely both with the scissors as well as my box cutter for some of the internal cuts that I was making. But you can see I had a great time making the jelly prints. So, and we'll walk you through my process on how to actually use the Frisket film a little off of what it's supposed to be used for, but basically walk you through how to make a stencil out of it. And really, I had a great time. So I hope that you enjoy watching. We'll get you moved over. I am intending to make my own stencil using the Frisket film. So a couple things. One side is kind of a matte finish that would obviously be your Frisket film. The back side is like a wax paper backing. So I did leave it as a single whole sheet. I am using just a pencil to trace my stencil design onto the page. So the one thing, I thought it would be nice to, again, have kind of a general idea of where I was cutting and what I was cutting, and having kind of this outline, like I said, with a pencil, just to give me a rough idea of what this stencil was going to be looking like. The other thing I thought I would mention was that I was turning my sheet as I was working. Turning the sheet can help with perspective, keeping a fresh perspective, rotating to ensure that I am filling each area, different sizes, different shapes, and making sure that I am, again, utilizing my entire sheet. But go ahead and use what you are comfortable starting with for an initial stencil. Whatever that is will be just fine. I am going to go ahead and move to the cutting because I've kind of got my whole sheet all mapped out with my pencil drawing. I did think it would be easier to use my scissors cutting away any of this excess, we're going to say stencil, this excess film for our stencil with the scissors. So I'm going to go around kind of all of the outer edges and use my scissors, like I said, and get that all trimmed away before moving to the inside, the interior of our stencil, and then having to move to a box cutter. Now, when you move to the inside, I'm grabbing a self-healing cutting mat. So if you have one of those or some sort of board, something to make sure that you're protecting your surface underneath whatever you are working on. Like I said, I am using a box cutter to really get into some of those smaller spaces of my stencil and part of the drawing and be able to cut away what we need to get cut away. I am going to go nice and slow and just take my time and really, again, make sure that I'm moving slowly and cutting all the way through the film and the waxed paper that's underneath it. I would recommend, like I did, switch out the blade on my box cutter. So if you know that you've maybe used your blade for something else before cutting on your stencil, I would go ahead and make sure that you've got a fresh one so that it's nice and sharp and can easily cut through the film and the paper backing. Just a tip for you. And then this is what my stencil looks like. Now we're going to go ahead and move on over to the jelly plate. I do have a large jelly plate, and I'm going to go ahead, hopefully you're familiar with using the jelly plate. I'm going to go ahead and put down just a few colors that I like, and we'll go ahead and get this ready and work through kind of our, like I said, printing now with our stencil that we've got. The other thing, again, I'll go ahead and kind of roll this out with the colors, like I said, that I've chosen. I think everybody has kind of their own way of working with the jelly plate. This just happens to be kind of how I like to roll out the paint. But again, no magic secrets, like it all will roll out. I do like to kind of generally blend a little bit, but maybe not as much as some. So again, personal preference as far as what you like to do as far as mixing and rolling out. I kind of like things that are a little bit grungier, left maybe not quite so thoroughly mixed. So again, personal preference. Now the one thing you will notice, I did flip my stencil so that it's reverse. How's that? And I am using tissue paper now so that when I pull the print will read correctly. Otherwise, if I just would have laid it down how it looked when we were on the mat, the cutting mat, that would be, again, that reverse. So this way, when we look at the tissue paper, we can see that it looks correctly. Now I'm peeling off that stencil because I've made that first pull and I've still got paint on my jelly plate. So we're going to go ahead and put another piece of tissue paper down, and I'm going to go ahead and grab that print that's left on that jelly plate. Give it a nice little massage, and we will go ahead and peel that off. And I keep saying tissue paper, but this is really a deli paper. I'll see if I can't make sure that there's a description for you. How's that? Of what this paper is. Let us do one more. Let's try a couple more. I'm gonna go ahead and put color down first. Using kind of a nice orange, we'll go ahead and pull that one. And then I'll put down, I don't even know what you want to call this blue. We'll just call it blue. And now I'm kind of picking and choosing. I'm not going to use my whole stencil. I'm just going to use part of it. And we'll make a partial print here and pull that. And the other thing I thought I would mention, now I saved all the bits and pieces from when I cut the stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some of those extra bits down and then pull those with that excess paint up at the top. Super fun is all of this fun extra stuff that you just keep printing and building layers and making fun different shapes. Now again, we still have kind of that print left after we got done taking the stencil off. So I'm going to use kind of this nice neutral. And then this is just copy paper. So I'm going to, just in case there's extra paint, I'll use, again, a sheet of that little deli paper. Just in case, we'll do a little massaging, and then we'll go ahead and pull this print as well. Now my plate does happen to be a little junky, a little grungy, and so it does pull on occasion some of those extra little bits here. And again, once you get going with this, it's so addicting, so hard to stop. So I'm grabbing that orange sheet that we just got done. And again, that was a Payne's gray that I put down. And again, now I'm just pulling bits and pieces off of that stencil, and am going to continue to kind of print that way. Now, the one other thing I thought I would make sure to mention to you is that because I knew I wanted to be doing multiple prints and maybe reusing this particular stencil that we made, I left the wax paper on. So I know that frisket film is maybe not intended, like typically you would maybe put your film down, use it, and then go ahead and pull it off, and then it would probably be done. But because, again, I was going to be doing multiple prints, I wanted to be able to reuse this multiple times. I went ahead and left that wax, the wax paper backing on it so that we could go ahead and use and reuse and then keep using this. So just a little FYI, I did not take that backing off. I just want to make sure I'm being clear with how I'm using the whole film. And then here I did end up at the end cutting my stencil apart into different bits and pieces so that I can continue to use it. But it has been super duper fun, and I love the prints that we got during this play session. So I will be anxious to see what you make. Thanks so much for watching.